How's it going, everyone? In this video, we have some big news on the brand new Crown Jewel Championships, 2 major WWE returns, and a whole lot more. But before we begin, please make sure to drop a like on this video. I would really appreciate it. Alright guys, so for our first story of today, we have the ratings for Monday Night Raw, NXT, and AEW Dynamite. So according to a new report from Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, Monday Night Raw drew 1,545,000 viewers with a 0.47 in the key demo rating. NXT drew 874,000 viewers and a 0.24 in the key demo rating, and AEW Dynamite drew 329,000 viewers with a 0.10 in the key demo rating. Next up, we have some news on WWE's reported plan for the new Crown Jewel Championships. So during a recent episode of WrestleVotes Backstage Pass, it was revealed that the WWE Crown Jewel Championships for the men's and the women's will actually be used in a completely different way compared to the other titles, as they will not be featured/defended on WWE television full time, because the plan is to strictly use them for Saudi Arabian events. So what are your guys' thoughts on WWE's plan for the Crown Jewel Championships? Do you think they should or should not be defended on television like the other titles? Let me know in the comment section down below. Next, we have the latest details on Daniel Garcia's brand new AEW deal. So after he announced on Dynamite that he would be staying with the company, according to a new report from PWN, Daniel Garcia's new contract will see him stay with AEW for another 3 years and a hefty increase in his salary. But in addition to that, Garcia is now being factored into, quote, significant creative plans moving forward, which is not too surprising in my opinion, guys, because I always had a feeling that Daniel Garcia would end up staying with AEW, even though WWE had reportedly interest in signing him. So I'm honestly not too surprised with his decision to stay. But what are your guys' thoughts on Daniel Garcia staying with AEW for 3 more years? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Moving on to our next story, we have some news that 2 big WWE stars have officially returned. So due to WWE's upcoming European tour, which is set to start on October 13th, WWE taped next week's episode of Monday Night Raw after the October 7th show went off the air. Well, during the taping, Eric and Ivar of the War Raiders finally made their in-ring return after many months of being sidelined with their respective injuries by defeating Akira Tozawa and Otis of the Alpha Academy. So now guys, I want to give you my thoughts and opinions on all of the stories that we discussed today. So for our first story, we did talk about the ratings for Monday Night Raw, NXT, and AEW Dynamite, and it does appear like Monday Night Raw and NXT did see a pretty slight drop in the viewership. However, as it pertains to AEW Dynamite, they did see a pretty significant drop in the ratings department because they did draw 329,000 viewers with a 0.10 in the key demo rating, which is a pretty significant drop for them because usually they do draw around 690,000 viewers. And again, they did go head to head with NXT. So this does pretty much show that if both shows are on at the same time, then there is more interest from fans to check out NXT instead of AEW. Despite the fact that AEW had a lot of their top stars featured on the show, they obviously chose to watch NXT instead, which should be a pretty big concern for Tony Khan if they ever match up again, which is very possible as well to happen again. So I do think that Tony Khan needs to do something to create interest again for Dynamite, because this is a very bad rating for the show. The other story that we talked about was on WWE's reported plan for the new Crown Jewel Championships for the men's and for the women's. Now, it was reported by WrestleVotes that these new championship titles will be treated very differently compared to the United States Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, and also the main titles, because it does look like these titles will not be defended on WWE programming, and they will only be exclusive to Saudi Arabian events. So Crown Jewel, for example, they will be defended on there, so they won't be featured on Monday Night Raw or on Friday Night SmackDown on a regular basis. So it does appear like the new Crown Jewel Championships will only be defended when WWE holds an event in Saudi Arabia like Crown Jewel. The other story that we talked about was on Daniel Garcia, the latest details on his new AEW deal, and it is being reported that Daniel Garcia has signed onto AEW for another 3 years. He will also be getting a pretty nice increase in his salary, and also following him signing a new deal with the company, AEW has now started to factor him into very significant creative plans for Daniel Garcia, which is not too surprising because AEW has shown that they view Daniel Garcia as a very important figure for AEW in the years to come, and I guess you could say they view him as for example, like MJF or Darby Allin, the future for AEW. So I'm not surprised that they offered him a very good deal for him to stay. And, even though WWE was reportedly interested in signing Daniel Garcia, his contract was said to be expiring, I believe, this month at the end of October. But obviously, he will be staying with AEW for many years to come. The other story that we talked about was that two big WWE stars finally made their return to in-ring competition. And they are Eric and Ivar of the Viking Raiders, now the War Raiders, and they did have a match on last week's episode of Monday Night Raw, or after last week's episode that has been taped, which will air this upcoming Monday. And they did defeat Akira Tozawa and Otis of the Alpha Academy. So it is pretty cool to finally see Eric and Ivar return to WWE, specifically in ring competition, because if you guys remember, they were out of action for several months due to some pretty severe injuries, neck injuries specifically, neck and back injuries. So it is good to see them return to in-ring competition. And from the photos and from the videos from fans, it does appear like WWE will be giving them a major push in the upcoming weeks. So that is some very good news for the War Raiders. So with that being said, guys, that is all of the news that we have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.